In one of the European countries, where the profession of private investigation is regulated by clear laws, a long and complex story began, one that resembled a maze whose doors remained closed for years until one man decided to open them, no matter how long the journey would take. In 2004, Elena Marco was living in a quiet town called Valro, a place where everyone knew one another and secrets rarely lasted long. Elena was 26 years old, occasionally working from home as a seamstress and helping her mother with household chores. She was very close to her mother, sharing everything with her small dreams and even the fears she never revealed to anyone else. One day, a man named Victor Rossi proposed to her. He was in his early 50s, retired from a large government institution. He appeared calm and composed, spoke confidently, and carefully chose his words. People would later learn that he had been married twice before, and that both marriages had ended under mysterious circumstances, but at the time, this was not known. The family hesitated because of the large age gap, but Victor seemed capable of providing a stable life. With his persistence and acceptance of all the family's conditions, the marriage took place. During the first months, life appeared normal. However, Eleanor's mother began to notice changes in her daughter. She became quieter, more withdrawn, and her eyes carried a constant, hidden anxiety. She never complained openly, but she often repeated one sentence: "Victor is hot-tempered, but he's kind." In 2006, Eleanor gave birth to a baby boy. The family was overjoyed, and it was the last time the mother truly felt at peace. A few months later, Victor began talking about moving to a large city called Norval. He kept insisting that the town was small, with no future, and that the child needed a better life. On the night of their departure, the mother held her daughter tightly, as if her heart sensed something she could not explain. Elena promised she would call as soon as they arrived, and that she would visit soon. The first call came a few days later, then another after a week. After that, the calls became less frequent until they stopped completely. Months passed, and the mother went to the phone every day, waiting for a ring that never came. She sent messages, tried calling old numbers, but nothing worked. Elena's brothers contacted acquaintances in Norval and searched neighborhoods, but the city was far larger than their efforts, as if the couple had vanished into thin air. Victor never called, not to reassure them, not to explain, not even to put an end to the worry. A year passed, then 5, then 10. The mother grew older, her health deteriorated, yet she always said, if she were alive, she would have called, and if she were dead, God would have given me peace by letting me know. In 2017, she gathered what little strength she had left and went to the police. She told the whole story, but the response was cold. Her daughter was an adult woman who left with her husband. There was no kidnapping report, no witness, no evidence of a crime. She left feeling that the law had closed its final door in her face. A year later, she heard about a private investigator named Daniel Moran, a man in his late 40s, known for taking on cases everyone else had given up on. He wasn't searching for fame, but for truth, and he believed that some cases choose the people meant to solve them. When Daniel heard Elena's story, he remained silent for a long moment, then said one sentence: "Cases that live this long without answers are never ordinary." Daniel began from scratch. He reviewed travel records and found no evidence that Elena or Victor had left the country. He checked housing records and found no fixed address. Then he searched for the child And this was the first serious warning sign. No school records, no medical files, no vaccinations, no official existence of the child at all. After months of investigation, Daniel located Victor's current residence in a coastal city called Arlen. He contacted him calmly, introduced himself, and requested a simple meeting for family-related reasons. Victor agreed and set a meeting at a hotel. On the day of the meeting, Daniel arrived to find that Victor had abruptly checked out hours earlier, without explanation and without leaving a trace. At that moment, Daniel knew the man was hiding far more than he claimed. He informed the authorities, and Victor was arrested days later. During interrogation, Victor initially appeared confident. He claimed that Elena had run away, that she was involved with another man, that he lost track of her, and that he later abandoned the child because he could not raise him. But whenever he was pressed for specific details, he evaded questions, changed his story, and contradicted himself. Daniel decided to return to the past, to the year Elena disappeared. He searched through old police archives until he found a forgotten file. An unidentified woman found murdered in an abandoned building in Norval. The case had been closed quickly, and 3 young men who had discovered the body were accused. Daniel read the file page by page. The evidence was weak, the confessions inconsistent, yet the verdict had been issued. He visited one of the young men, who was still in prison. The man's hair had turned grey before its time. He swore by his faith and his life that he was innocent, and described that night in painful detail. His words were not the words of a killer, but of someone whose life had been destroyed simply for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Daniel obtained the old photographs of the body and hesitated for a long time before showing them to Elena's mother. The moment she looked at them, she screamed her daughter's name. There was no doubt. Daniel continued digging until he discovered that the abandoned building belonged to the same government institution Victor had worked for years before his retirement. Victor knew the place, knew its layout, and knew that no one would go there. When Victor was confronted with the evidence, he collapsed. He confessed to everything. He admitted that he killed Eleanor in a moment of rage, abandoned the child, disappeared, and let everyone else pay the price for his crime. The case was reopened, and the 3 young men were finally exonerated after years of injustice. Victor was sentenced to life in prison, but he did not live long and died behind bars. But the story did not end there. The child remains missing. The grandmother is still waiting, and the investigator is still searching. Because some stories do not end when the killer is exposed, but only when the last victim finds their way home.